And I pulled him out the side because I finally got tired of him not being able to do certain things. And I said, okay, I can see you having problems. Did you ever have problems when you were learning stuff in school? Because, I had a special ed, I had to be taught.
Okay.
I said, okay, good. What was it? Dyslexia. Okay, good. If you don't talk to the student and find out what they are all about,
Right.
you will never get that answer.
Right.
Because if you don't know what's wrong with them, then you can't fix it.
Yeah, it's going to be different for each one.
So when you talk to the student and say, okay, I show them something. Here's a 1 in 11. What do you see? If they say 1 in 3 or something else, then, okay, why do you see that?
Yeah.
Then you got to download in their brain and says, okay, let's see why you're seeing it that way. Once you understand that, then now I can teach you.
Right.
This is 1 in 3.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's how they're seeing it. So let's give it that label for that student.
Right. Right.
If you do that to Ethan, that's why we keep our classes small. Because I can't do this for 20 kids.
Yeah.
You imagine,
Yeah.
right? But this is why we do that. So each student will get a specific thing, and I have to teach them to their strengths and weaknesses so that they can then solidify everything that we teach them based on how they think of it and how they understand what's in front of them.
Right. The way that Grandmaster Art taught you, because of your engineering know-how, is the way we teach every single student from the very first class.
Because if you do that, then they actually feel wanted. They actually feel like, wow, he's nurturing me.
Yeah.
He's actually taking care of me. He's listening to what I have to say, which never happens in the old days.
Right. I don't do too much of that part, but I do what I've done because of my background. It's funny, is I went through an education degree. I got my master's in education.
Let's talk about the background. Let's because before we get into how that plays out into your teaching now, what is your engineering background? How did you get from there to here?
Okay, so I started out at community college. It was a conversation where my dad came to me and he said, son, you've got a couple options here. You either go to school, you join the military, or you find a full-time job, or you move out of the house.
I like it.
Well,
Four options.
Well, yeah, I was wasting away. I wasn't sure on the right path.
He didn't give you the Home Depot option?
Well, that was it. That's work. It's a full-time job,
man.
But I think he saw me just after high school. I barely graduated high school, and
I like that.
The thing for me is I had no intention to go to college. I was going to be a Marine. Hoorah, Semper Fi.
Really?
But the problem is I'm an epileptic. And so when
that already disqualified.
Yeah,
you.
and so when I started going through high school, all my friends are taking these tests and this and that. I was like, I just need to pass the ASVAB.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not doing college.
Wow.
And so I remember going to the Marine Corps office. I started getting in shape, started working out, and I went in there, and the first thing they told me was like, all right, get up here and do these pull-ups against one of the other drill instructors or recruiters. And so I got out there, and I think I busted out like 50 pull-ups.
Nice.
I was only like $120. But
now I can maybe do 6.
Yeah, so I did these pull-ups.
I get it, dude.
Yeah, I beat him. I beat this guy, and they're like, wow, how many push-ups can you do? And I was like, I could probably do 50 in under a minute.
Yeah.
And I was busting up, and the guy was like really impressed, and he's like, okay, well, you know what? I don't know, maybe today's not your day. Why don't you come back, next week? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I came back because that was my goal.
Right.
And once we started talking about my background, have you done drugs, blah, blah, blah. No drugs, no drugs, and okay, any medical disabilities, getting ready to, and I was like, oh, I take Tegretol, and he's all, oh, what's that for? And I said, it's for seizures, epilepsy. And he says, we can't take you.
Right, yeah.
You've got a lot of heart, but we can't have you.
Right off the bat, they do this.
So I walked out. I walked out of the office, and I was devastated. My whole life was built on this premise that I was going to be a Marine.
Right.
And to have that crushing moment, like say you can't be a soldier.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with myself.
He turned to drugs and all that.
Well, there was a little bit of craziness going on, but after that, I remember we did a tour. It was towards the end of my senior year. We're walking to the community college, and there's this guy standing on the steps. His name's Lyle Buckley. He's a former Navy radio man, veteran of the Korean War. And he's standing there, and he says, hey, punk kids. And he looked at me, and he goes, yeah, you. Because I looked at him. He goes, what are you going to do with your life? You know, and this was just after this whole trauma of me not being able to be a Marine.
Wow.
You turn around and go, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, you know. And of course, my buddies are looking at the guy like, "Oh, that's crazy."
You know he's not going to cry in
Yeah.
front of his buddies.
No, exactly. So
Yeah.
afterwards, I hung around. You know, he
Yeah.
goes, "If you want to talk, come see me after your tour, or whatever." You know, because he knew
Yeah.
we were good. I came back and talked to him, and we had a talk, and he became a mentor, you know, and a good friend. And he kind of
That's
he got me
wow.
on the technical path. My dad was a journeyman electrician. My older brother James was going to become an engineer. So I said maybe I have a knack for technical stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned out I did. So I started out with doing the electronics. You know, went to the electronics program. I went to the electrical trade program. Ended up getting my AA in industrial technology.
Oh, wow.
And so 2 certs in the AA, and then I transferred to ITT, where I finished up my associate science in electronics engineering and my bachelor's in electronics engineering technology.
So you have built one of the rockets?
Yeah, no rockets for me. And then
Darn.
from there, I went and got
I
another.
was going to get your autograph if you did. You know, 'cause that'd be pretty cool.
no rockets. A bachelor's degree in business and leadership, and then a master's in education technology, and then a graduate certificate from Northeastern in leadership.
That's
You
real
do
fun.
sound like a nerd.
Yeah,
Or a
absolutely.
politician. I don't know.
Yeah,
one
a
of the
nerd.
two.
It's a nerd.
We'll
More
go
like
with
a nerd.
nerd. He's too bright to be a politician.
Yeah. So that was my background on how I got into the
Wow.
education thing, and actually through the educational program, through my master's program, I started learning about different modalities of learning.
Right.
And so it's funny when I was always applying it to martial arts. You know, when I was learn something or see something in school, you know,
Like, what's something that stands out right now that you applied from?
modalities. Some
Yeah.
people are visual learners. Some
Uh-huh.
people are audible learners, and so that's why I always don't want to be the one teaching. Sometimes I'll have a student teach the student.
So you can see what
So we have because we teach differently.
Yeah, because even
And
the
I don't know
cadence
yet.
of saying the same
Exactly.
thing will register differently. In
I don't
somebody
know.
else's.
I don't know whether my method of teaching is going to suffice, and so that's the one thing I think that I did a little different than Jim Art. He had one method of teaching
Right.
mostly, but with me he gave me a little extra kind of guidance.
Well,
you
he
know?
liked you.
Yeah, but my first 2 years, he just said you. He called me you. He didn't call me by my
Didn't
name.
even learn your name.
No, he
you.
didn't.
Man.
Well,
I
because he
forgot.
thought you were going to leave.
Yeah, no, and I understand that
Yeah.
very well. We had a lot of people come and go.
Yeah, and it's a revolving door, you know,
Yeah.
and so
And why get so chummy with somebody if they're not going to
Exactly.
No, I get that.
yeah, and so he
I
did
tried
that.
to do that with him, but he just kept coming back.
Dude, you fed me the first time, so that's all your bad.
Wow, there you go.
You know we don't go away once you feed us.
Dude, that's one
Yeah.
of that's one of the things that we do. We end up feeding the students with the money we make from them. We
Yeah.
don't and we don't even charge a lot.
Yeah.
So we end up being negative every
Yeah.
time.
Well, for me, a big part of it is see, but it creates something different. It's not just
Yeah.
a school.
And
you
I
know?
think that's what you see with he and I.
Yeah.
We had that relation because it's not about master student mentality. You know, it's
Yeah.
about two people who enjoy the same thing and want to learn off each other.
Right.
Even though I'm his instructor, I'm learning a lot off of him.
Right.
A lot of where I'm at now is because of him.
Right.
Where I always tell him, try to knock me on my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever, just surprise me and just try to knock me on my ass.
Yeah.
And because he's so damn into trying to do it, I have to get better real fast or
Right.
I'm going to be on my ass.
Right.
So
Right.
to this day, he has not
Have
been able
not
to do
been
it.
successful.
So I'm getting better and
Have
better at
not
like
been
dodging
successful.
everything he does.
Next weekend,
7 years.
it's going to
Yeah,
come.
try again.
I feel it. I can sense these things.
His solution is to be across the street with a sniper
With a
rifle.
sniper rifle.
Yeah. Well, that's why he has his dog for protection too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Well, no,
You're
his
the
wife
sniper.
has the dog.
No, that's
You're not
yeah.
like the old Kato from Pink Panther, right? You just jump out of him from
Yeah,
behind corners.
Dude,
and-
he has done it.
Okay.
He has done it. I'm talking to
I've
somebody over
attacked
here.
him
and
from
he'll
a
just-
blind
Yeah.
side, and
Right.
we were using swords at that point, and still didn't get him. And surprisingly, he didn't break my thumb. Like
Yeah.
the tip of his sword stopped right at the thumb that was
Wow.
holding the sword, and I just felt the little clink. I was like, ah, but you know,
Yeah.
my butthole kind of puckered
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
because of how fast it happened. And this is hard wood. This is kamagon, so
Yeah. Oh,
it's
okay.
heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that could have been so bad for
Oh,
me.
man.
If he had no control, I would have been done.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
But that's
Good
how we
stuff.
get along, yeah. But it's amazing that you've taken this engineering mentality, because every time I hear the word engineering, I'm thinking blueprints, plans, some sort of motherboard, and you're putting everything where it needs to be so it works perfectly. How have you changed, or how has that sometimes hindered you in the teaching of martial arts? Because it's not.
Yeah, well, I think in the beginning, the problem was that I structured things too much that I put myself in the box.
There you go.
Ooh.
And so the problem is, in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
I structured it to the point where it was not free flow. It was like everything I packaged up in a nice little package, and I thought, this is the way. I packaged it up. Oh, I got this. I packaged it up. And the problem is, like, if you look at electronics, I can have circuits to turn something on.
Right.
There's hundreds of thousands of different ways to turn that thing on. So I had to change my mentality. And it's funny, when I started working at Bechtel, Nevada, I was working for a DOE contractor. I started a martial arts club with my friend who's a Kaju Kempo practitioner, Sigung Jimmy Mirador, and this other guy named Dean Simmons. He had a sash in Kung Fu and Kaju Kempo with a P. And I was a brown belt at the time in De Cuerdas. And so Dean Simmons, big old African-American guy, looks like a linebacker, physicist, just totally,
Physicist.
yeah, just, you see him and you don't think that this is this physicist, this martial arts, Kung Fu, Kempo practitioner, but
That's
Oh, and
crazy.
Kung Fu too.
yeah, but we would train and we would cross train. That's when that's when I really got the appreciated cross train. We would train, then some of the other employees, we would train them, and we call it what do we call it? The Martial Arts Organization or something, BMLO, Bechtel Nevada Martial Arts Organization. But I would show stuff, and he'd say, okay, this is what you do, and he'd show me technique, and he'd punch at me, and I go, I'm just going to go like this, and I'm probably going to go like that, or I'm going to just parry and punch, and he's all, what's the name of that technique? I go, I don't know. And he says,
Hit you. It's
you
called
know,
hit
and I
you.
said, I don't know. Art teaches me all this shit, and he doesn't package it and tell me what it is. And he goes, do you know what you have? And I go, what? And he goes, you don't have to think about what it is. You just do. And I still didn't get it. I was like, I don't understand.
Wow, so you were able to do it, but you weren't unaware that you were able to do
yeah.
it. Oh my god,
So-
that's amazing.
Have you ever worked with Legos?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what your style is. That's what we do.
With
We're-
no instructions though.
Yeah, we do Legos without instructions.
Yeah, you're a master builder.
There you go.
I'm
Yeah.
a master builder.
Yeah.
And that's what you were just discussing with us.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, you don't have to worry about the circuit board things. You
Right.
You just put everything where you want.
You
to go.
put it wherever you want it to go.
Wherever it needs to be for that moment.
I like that at that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like you said, there's 1,000 different ways to turn that light on,
Yep.
but not all 1,000 ways are going to work in every situation that you're going
In
to come
that
across.
moment.
Yeah, and because it depends on your attacker too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to dictate how I take my Legos and build my, structure.
And that's
Beautiful.
and that is the basis of how we see things.
Right.
We tell people, I can give you something that has 3 pieces or 4 pieces.
Right.
But do you really need all that many pieces to take care of this thing that's coming?
Yeah.
Are you already in a spot where you can just skip the first piece and go to the next 2? Or can you skip number 2 and go 1 and 3? Oh, yeah, just put them wherever you want.
Yeah.
It's Legos.
What's funny for me is I show my students the beginning as they're learning. First of all, I do an all-class lesson.
Right.
And I'll take something from, and maybe an advanced lesson, but we all do it,
Right.
And so I do that. It's called all-class lesson. Then if I feel like showing them something from a traditional art, I call it nugget information. And I said, this is what I learned from my Kaju Kempo teacher. I think it's just good to see this for a self-defense technique.
You must have been talking to Dennis a lot because he always uses the term nugget.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, these nuggets.
Oh!
Have you noticed that this process, same way Danny teaches?
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought up Legos.
Yeah.
Because a lot, and here it is. I think you're like us. You're like-minded. And a lot of people that Dennis had been getting into the learning lab
Right.
is like-minded in that we see things so different from what the tradition is
Yeah,
that we kind of have our own way of thinking about it.
right.
And not that we ever shared it with each other
Yeah,
up until now when we started realizing, we're all doing the same thing, but we call it something different.
right.
Right? I mean, you might call it the motherboard because of what you do. We call it Legos for what we do.
Yeah,
But ultimately, it's the same idea.
yeah, of course.
Just labeling it is based on what part of the country you're from.
Right. So how do you guys get the students to appreciate the master builder mindset? How do you get them to recognize that what they're doing is non-traditional?
Because we tell them right off the bat. We had a guy come in and he did traditional, and we were showing him something, and he was trying to do it verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
We go, what are you doing? He goes, this is the way you showed me. You go, yeah, we showed it to you that way, but we keep telling you, bring your own thought to it.
Yeah.
Turn it into whatever you think you can, where you think things would fit if you were to do this in the street. If nobody's going to give you that right punch for you to do those things, what would it be?
How would you use
Yeah.
it?
And he goes, well, isn't that disrespectful? We're telling you to do this.
Yeah.
What's disrespectful?
Right.
What do you mean disrespectful? We're telling you we want you
Yeah.
to, because a punch isn't always going to come this way. It might come this way,
Yeah.
it might come this way, it might come
Absolutely.
whatever way. But if you're sitting there for that very one that where it's this,
Waiting that, yeah.
and you're waiting for that, it's never going to come.
Right.
And you're going to get the crap beat out of you waiting for something that's never going to show for you to do this thing that you're never going to be able to do.
Right.
So
And then,
why are
conversely,
Yeah.
getting 1,000 different ways to respond to 1,000 variations of that one punch, why don't we then break down all the elements that would make each one of those techniques work? Put them together, or even distill them into one
Right.
idea, have you understand that idea, and then let you explore how you could use it in any given situation.
Right.
And that's what we do with our beginning students. We tell them, look, here's a stick. If you want to learn how to swing it, start swinging. You're good at it already. We're not going to teach you how to swing the stick. We're going to teach you how to understand how to move better using the stick as a learning tool, but not as a weapon.
Yeah, we're not teaching you to swing sticks. We're teaching you the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like, what?
The mechanics.
Yeah, it's just the motion. It's not even the mechanics yet.
Mm.
We're talking about gross motion of,
Left to right.
Yeah.
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah.
Once you understand that, now let's put some details into it.
Right.
Now let's do variations. Now teach it.
Right.
Now you have to understand, what are the mechanics behind it? Because once you give them just a basic idea, then each student finds it within themselves, this felt a certain way. Let's explore why it felt that way. Oh, well, the mechanics, you let you do this, let you do that. Where else can you use these mechanics? Will we do this other exercise, and I can use them here too.
Yeah.
And then they start putting
They
all the
find
little
it
bits
themselves.
together.
Right.
And that's what keeps them motivated and
Yeah.
hungry to try new things.
Do you find that that people are more inclined to appreciate what your method of teaching and instruction if they've already come with you with a traditional background, or they
No,
come with you with a
it's
clean
hard.
slate?
They're so hard to teach those
Harder.
guys.
Okay.
They're the ones who usually drop out
Yes.
because their body can't take it. Their body is so used to that structure that if it's not there,
Yeah.
they fail.
Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do
They're that. And
instead of...
And I hate that because the reality is traditional teachers, they know that messes people up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how a lot of the students get hurt. Because they take what they learned in school and they bring it out in the street fight,
verbatim.
and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that in a tournament. You know, in Kempo karate, where like, you know, you're standing,
Yeah.
I was getting the shit beat out of me every time. You know, because I was waiting for that thing that I was told is gonna come, but never came, and
Yeah.
smack, and I'm like, oh crap, you know, and you can't, it doesn't work. So then when you take somebody who's that structured,
Yeah.
because in their class it's working, he's the top guy because they're all giving the right things.
Yeah.
Here, deliver it like this, you know. But in the streets they don't.
Yeah.
But when you're in the class, you got your black belt because the guy was feeding you the proper techniques
Yeah.
and whatever,
Yeah.
and you got really good at it. And then you got, you know, then you go out in the street and you get the shit beat out of you, or you get killed. We
Yeah.
heard a story from one of our guys, and which is why he left the school, because one of the grandmaster of that school was saying, "Oh, this black belt is the best. He's number one. Blah blah blah."
Winning
Kept
tournaments,
cutting off,
all that.
and he got into a street fight and got killed, thinking he was going to be able to win this fight because he was the top guy at their school.
Yeah.
Never saying, "Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
you can't use this outside the way you do here."
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know, whose fault is that?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the teachers.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, and that's a sad story about that, but it's the reality of a lot of these things. And I hear those stories all the time.
Right.
You know, and what do you do to change that? How do you change that culture?
Yeah.
I think in essence that's kind of where we're moving towards, is because, like you said, we are coming across people like Mike who have a different mentality, who have taken the time to really evaluate what's going to work and what isn't. What am I providing to these students? Am I giving them a nugget of something traditional, or am I giving them something fundamental that they will be able to use?
Yeah, but what's funny is that my understanding of that way of thinking about martial arts occurred later. It was, you know, even when this guy was telling me, and Dean was telling me, like,
Oh, when you were doing naturally.
and I was like, I don't get it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm getting pissed off because I want structure. I want structure. I want
Yeah.
structure.
but you weren't doing
You know,
structure.
I know, and but he was telling me, he finally, he's like, let me see how I can explain this to you. I mean, I was dense, you know. He
Yeah.
was like, let me see if I can really explain to you what you have, you know. And then Seafood or Sigung Jimmy Mirador, you know, he has a Kaju Kempo and FMA background, and he's the same way, you know. He's like, you've already got in your FMA, you've already got, you know.
Right.
what you're doing is kind of like alphabets, the
Right.
advanced part of Kaju, and so
Right.
and you got the free flow already. What are you searching for? You've got it there already.
And we never know what we're searching for until someone
Yeah,
points it out. And says,
until
"Oh,
someone points it out, and it was like an epiphany. And my other mentor, my first Dequas teacher, Senior Master George, he was a. What do you think? What do you see right there when they're doing something? And I was like, well, I'm seeing them block and strike and this and that, and he's like, how would you do that different? I go, what do you mean? He said, why would I do it different? And
That's how it was taught.
Yeah, exactly. I was so
it never dawned on you. Yeah.
It never dawned. And then finally, when it did, it's like these walls crumbled
Right. And
around
you're
me,
so
and I
free.
was like even now, I'm going through some of my notes that GM Art gave me, and I'm just there in tears, thinking like, oh my God, really? I see now. I see the path. It's like someone opened up the curtains and
Yeah.
let me see the world in a
Dude.
way I've never seen it before.
GM art was amazing. Because he got you to do a whole bunch of things that you wanted to do, and you never realized that you had it already.
You never realized
Yeah.
you were doing it.
I never realized I was doing it, and
Wow.
yeah, he was
incredible.
very special in that manner. Yeah, in that
You and
regard.
I, we're gonna have to play sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
Because again, we are so far away from tradition.
Yeah.
Like I said, people give us a stink eye whenever they see what we're doing. One guy actually walked over to Dan and said, "Hey, why are you guys doing that here? Why are you showing that? And you're not even getting paid for it? Why are you doing that?" It's like,
But
This-
showing a first class idea.
whatever we were showing, whatever Dan was showing that day, was like the day 2 of our class.
Yeah.
He's thinking this is an advanced thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
He's looking at us like, you guys are crazy. Why would you give that away?
Yeah.
We teach that second day of class.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. That's beautiful.
Awesome.
But it ticks off a lot of people for some reason. We don't know why either.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and that's kind of why I still do some flow, and that's why I still do some package things, because it's almost like I have to feed some of my students some of this stuff to then show them how to do that better.
Right.
So you almost have to give them.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
for the first 6 months, we'll show them the basics of things that have to be done a certain way.
Right.
To start.
Reference points.
And then if they can excel in that, they can get it. They can get the real stuff after 3 months if they're really good at it.
Yeah.
If they're moving along and their understanding is really good. And then we start showing, here's the reality. Forget what we just taught you. Do it this way. Has all the elements of what we showed,
Yeah.
but now it's like, this is based on your body, Naeem. This is based on yours, Dion, or whichever student
Yeah.
we're talking to. And then like, oh, I can do that? And he goes, yeah. It's
We
your
never said you
body."
couldn't.
We
Right.
gave you that structure just so you have a reference points
Right.
of point A to point B, point A to point B. Now that you have that, now how about going point A, coming around this wall, going over here to get to point B?
Right.
Or what if point B keeps moving because point B is never a stationary thing?
Right.
It's not
right.
fixed.
Right. When you're fighting, you don't know what point B is.
Yeah.
You have A, which is you. Then
Yeah.
wherever B ends up or wherever it's at,
Yeah.
that becomes your B. If they throw something in the way, that's B all of a sudden. Now I got to find a new B,
Yeah.
and that's what you do. And once you start to get that, it's like, oh, so, and which is why I was telling you that now he's going to show you this thing called Anatomy of a Strike, and then you'll see why
Later.
A and B. So it's a fascinating thought, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. But if you keep that flow, then every time your beat changes, then you're automatically flowing,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm trying to hit your face and you block that,
Yeah.
well, I got to get around that. Okay, now my B's over here. Oh, I got to get around that. Now my B's over here.
Right.
So I'm constantly flowing because based on what you do, I have to either take care of it, sidestep it,
Yeah.
hit it, or whatever, and then continue on to my B.
Right.
So am I not just flowing then?
Right.
There is no structure.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, we have principles. So one of them is we defend with 10 points, defend or attack with 10 points of our body.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 is my shoulder. Okay. 5 head, 6 hips, thighs, 7 knees, 8 shins, 9 and feet 10.
Ooh.
So that's kind of how that's part. We do striking, locking, throwing, choking, sweeping arts, and grabbing arts. So we have that. Okay. So with those are some of the principles. We do 0 beat, 1 beat, 2 beat, or 3 beat, with 3 beat being the longest, and that 3 beat goes into our entanglements. and
So you
grappling.
start off with the 0 and move on to the 3?
I teach my students first the slower versions. I teach them the 3 beat first,
Oh, okay.
so they can have an appreciation for the 0 beat. Okay, and so because otherwise, if I just show them that, they're not going to know what happens if they start getting tangled up.
Right, if
You know.
it doesn't work
Yeah,
out.
and then we also have some principles like engaños. Engaños are where I purposely want you to block. When I go here and you go to block,
Right.
okay, so if you go to block, I might purposely want to do that because I may want to
Roll.
come in here or roll out. You know, so we have engaños, which are, they're called like tricks. I'm tricking you into taking that block.
They're lies.
Yeah.
Is what they are.
Yeah, or a rebound off it, you know, and so we have that.
I do that to him a lot because he falls for it every time.
Yeah. That's why I just did it.
In my defense, it's subtle.
Yeah, but yeah, so we do have. So I don't want to come out here that I just everything's free flow, but we do have certain principles.
Yeah,
you know.
and you have to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get us wrong in that we don't have those
Yeah.
things. We, and that's why we do the first 6 months of the basic understanding. And once you get that, you will always find that the students understand that, there's certain things that have to happen
Right.
before I can do these other things.
Right.
And the elements have to be there, which is what the anatomy of strike then teaches you. That's what I'm saying. You're going to get a kick out of this because you'll realize, that's a cool way of teaching it.
Right.
That's a great way of seeing it. And we'll talk about that later off to the side. We're going to charge him for that. And then we're going to give him a belt.
Dude, he already got his
Yes.
shirts. I don't know if we can charge him after
that's
that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it comes with a plaque and a big
There you
certificate.
go.
Or
Oh,
something.
yeah. We'll put your
We'll even
picture
take
on it and
pictures.
everything.
Oh, incidentally, I need a picture of you for our thing.
Okay.
You didn't chime in on.
I don't know if that needed to be on camera, dude. Like, why?
It does because then we have proof that we said it to him.
That's true. We can play it back. But
Yeah.
dude, we never got
All
your
right,
picture.
I'll send you a picture.
We're gonna take one.
And then
now.
the reason why I brought that up, right? I was looking for a picture on your Facebook. Everything is with a fish.
Or his thumb.
Every damn picture, he's got some kind of fish or lures or whatever. I'm like,
No,
dude.
in his defense, he also has some pictures with his family.
Well, which one
behind
you
him.
got? I got 3 Facebook pages.
Oh, okay.
really?
You have to go. Yeah, there's my personal page, which
Uh-huh.
is my Cardenas. There's VA Martial Arts Academy, a
Don't have that
Facebook
one.
page, and then there's the VA Martial Arts Collaborative.
Okay, I just got your page
Okay.
where you have
He's
fishing.
got
and all.
Mike, yeah. just-
And then there's my
yeah.
website, which is www.vamartialarts.com.
Yeah,
Now you guys
see?
know where to find him.
Yeah, so I have that.
Yeah, it was just funny because I'm like, no, that ain't.
No,
I got the one where
fish,
he's looking like he's
fish.
from the 40s or something with the hat and the suspenders. Goes, no, that.